In this lecture, I am going to discuss about some important definitions. So I'm not going to explain them. I'm just going to read out so that you can see what are the important definitions with respect to risk. So let's start with the first definition. So first we will try to define risk itself. A factor that could result in future negative consequences. So there could be an occurrence in future which will have a negative impact, and that negative impact is called as risk. So this is the first definition. The second definition is risk analysis. So what is the meaning of risk analysis? The overall process of risk identification and risk assessment. So both the steps, risk identification and risk assessment, together is called risk analysis. Now let's see about the risk identification. The process of finding, recognizing and describing risk is called risk identification. So we have to find the risk, we have to recognize it, and then we have to describe also that particular risk. Then the whole process will be called as risk identification. Coming to the next point, that is risk assessment. The process to examine identified risks and determine the risk level. So first we have to examine the risk and then we have to determine the level of risk. Then these two processes together will be called as risk assessment. The next topic is risk mitigation. The process through which decisions are reached and protective measures are implemented for reducing or maintaining risk to specified level. So here what we do, we take a protective measure so that we can reduce or maintain the level of risk. Now going to the next topic, that is risk impact. So what is the meaning of impact when we talk with respect to risk? The damage that will be caused if the risk become an actual outcome or event. So when the whatever risk we have told, if it actually occurs, then what will be the damage it will cause? So that is called as a impact for that particular risk. Now moving towards the next topic, that is risk level. So risk level is defined as the qualitative or quantitative measure of a risk defined by impact and likelihood. So what will be the quantity of that risk depending upon the impact and the likelihood, how easily it will happen, and when it happens what will be the impact. Both the things will decide the risk level. So now let's discuss about the risk likelihood. The estimated probability that a risk will become an actual outcome or event. So it is a probability that whatever risk we have identified will occur in the real time environment is called risk likelihood. So now you have understood what is risk impact and what is risk likelihood. Now the next definition is risk management. So what is called as risk management? The coordinated activities to direct and control an organization with regards to risk. So there will be a management team which will be established, and the activity of that team will be to coordinate the activities so that we can minimize the risk or we can control the risk in an organization. That is called as risk management. The next topic is now, what is the meaning of risk-based testing? So this is the last definition. Finally, we reached risk-based testing. Testing in which the management, selection, prioritization and use of testing activity and resource are based on corresponding risk type and risk level. So whatever management we do is based on the risk type and risk level. Whatever selection we do is also based on risk type and risk level. The priority which we decide is also based on risk type and risk levels. So whatever we do, the main focus is over the risk type and risk level, and that type of testing is called risk-based testing. So these were the definitions with respect to the risk which I have covered here. So that is it from this particular topic, and I will see you with the next topic. Until then, happy testing.